Hello, and welcome everyone to N1P podcast. Today we are going to talk about good topics. It's about three topics that I'm going to discuss today, and these three topics are going to be about news coming out from Africa. We have traditional economies, and we have ancient and new innovations. So, what we're going to discuss first is, of course, a little bit of news coming from Africa. We're also going to discuss a little bit about traditional economies as we have the past two episodes. Now, I will engage in a little bit more of what it looks like future wise in Africa when it comes to our transition from traditional economies into more of a capitalistic approach to economy, and how also Africa can use traditional economies. So that's one of those things that I am pushing most, is that I want to form this a new view of economics, and maybe use aspects of the old traditional African system, economical system, incorporate that into these new world capitalistic economies that we all so called enjoy. But also, there's a lot of disadvantage when it comes to that model as well. We've seen it in the West, and we've seen the catastrophic byproducts of that type of economical system. Hence, the reason why traditional economical system have lasted for centuries is because it has a set rules and a set structures and obligations to the actual community itself, so that the community grows from the economy that everyone else is promoting. So that's also one of those things that we are going to jump into, maybe now, maybe in next episode. But I was just thinking, maybe we should have these thought patterns when it comes to African traditional economies, and how much that can actually propel our economies into becoming more sustainable and long lasting. Because if we look at economies traditionally, traditional capitalist economies, they tend to fall within a specific time period, and then it goes up again, and then goes down again like a roller coaster. While a traditional African system of economics have lost it, and it's stagnant, so it doesn't really affect that much of what the capitalistic sort of economical system is doing. Though we need to upgrade our economical system so that it can some way be more suitable for Africans, especially the ones living in the rural area. Because as we also know, the demographics of Africa is that most of the population did not actually live in the big cities. Hence, of course, if you have big countries, but in countries, majority countries in Africa, you have majority living outside of the big city and not inside of the big city. Hence, the reason why we need to form a suitable system that works for them as well as it works for others outside, and also try to find a much more suitable way for them, more sustainable way of dealing with crisis, and also integrating technology into that form of the economical system. I think we can start using these other forms of economical systems to somewhat, some way patch, all the bads that comes out of the capitalistic economical system. Yeah, so let's start with jumping into what I was reading today. Something came out of EY. If you guys don't know, it talks about building a better working world. I can put a link into the chat box for you guys if you guys want to read this economical paper. So it's talking about why Africa is becoming a bigger player in the global economy. So our surplus of workers, more stability, and technology are transforming Africa's economies, making it less dependent on extractive industries like extracting raw material. And I want to also say this broadcast that I'm doing, the podcast that I have, Open Basket, etc., all of it is for educational purposes so that you guys know and everyone else knows. It won't be any disturbance in the path. Yeah, so this article itself is an article within a series of articles examining Africa and its transition. For more than a century, foreign direct investments, FDI, so-called, in Africa was almost exclusively focused on extracting and exporting raw natural resources. But since the turn of the millennium, the momentum has shifted, and in the past few years, the trend has finally flipped, and the global investors now come to Africa more often for a promise of its people than its physical properties. Petroleum and mining now account for a minority of long-term capital inflows, with more investors focusing on telecommunication, retailing, and other types of services. The extractive industries have accounted for more than half of the FDI, foreign direct investment, just once in the past 7 years. According to the database, a new investment is maintained by EY professionals. The trend is even more pronounced in the 46 jurisdiction of the sub-Saharan Africa. From 2005 to 2011, extractives in the region accounted for more than half of the investment in all but 1 year. That's a lot, and that's not many people that discuss these things. But the reverse was also true over the next 7 years, ending in 2018. The most recent year for which few and final data was available. The big building blocks are now in place, and Africa are the beneficiaries, but so are the next wave of investors who will have an easier time to develop their projects in Africa, hopefully in the future. For diaspora, most definitely, more than just foreign direct investments. This investment evolution reflects the improvement in governance and stability that began in the 1990s. With the end of the Cold War, democratic institutions are established and recognized, and fewer people live in extreme poverty. These democratic transitions remain fresh and fragile, with countries progressing at different speeds. Some countries progress very quick. Some countries are not progressing very quick, and it's in some ways somewhat turns out to be a negative effect to the countries that are actually evolving in that region. But it's just a negative trend. Hopefully, we will find more stable countries coming up in Africa in few years, hopefully. But long-term trends measured over decades instead of years show that African countries are now more attractive investments or investment destinations. All this is happening in the last region of the world, offering a demographic divided or dividends. Sub-Saharan Africa will also soon be the only place with birth rates at replacement level or higher. As we know, the birth rate is quite high in Africa, and as we also see, there's a lot of young people in Africa. It's a very young continent, so you have, I think it's more than 40% of Africa's population is under 15 years, which is a very young continent that we need to, sort of enhance. We need to also, try to institutionalize our vision of, a greater, higher, more evolved economies in Africa through the means of more developed and more stable governments growing up in Africa. We'll see it in I think in soon proximity to today. The new value chain also now developing are based on telecommunication platforms, agribusiness and energy. So agribusiness always been there. It's one of the traditional economies that Africa has had for the past, I would say, thousands and thousands of years. And agriculture is a sort of, stable economy that we have used traditionally in Africa for many centuries. But the evolution also away from the extractive industries isn't only a function of improved investments and climates in the sub-Africa. For example, the extractives makes up a smaller share of total investment, but the rate rises and falls in response to oil prices. Countries elsewhere in the global south have become more developed with higher labor costs and more mature customer markets that suggest lower long-term returns there. Finally, foreign direct investments in Africa often comes from state-owned enterprises and international or bilateral institutions that have more than just commercial concerns in mind, especially for larger infrastructural projects such as ports, railways, railroads, etc., and infrastructure at large. But even if Africa's improved investment climate is just one of the several factors driving the change, its results are self-reinforcing because regardless of the motivations, when one investor builds a port or a road, another one can also use it. Yeah, so this is why we need infrastructural, developments in Africa all over the continent. The big building blocks are now in place, says one of the guys writing. His name is Rod. EY Africa market leader. Africans are the beneficiaries, but so are the next wave of investors who will have an easier time developing their projects. In Ethiopia, the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali ended border conflicts with neighboring Eritrea in 2018, which brought him the Nobel Peace Prize. in 2019. The country is also opening to investment, has a population of around 100 million people, and the capital city is Addis Ababa. And it's opening its doors on a new light rail metro system that came in 2015. Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, attracted second most FDI, foreign direct investments, on a per capita basis in 2018. And South Africa's coronavirus stimulus packages is notable because it also was the only government in the region able to offer one as a fast response, says Larry Ayinla. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Africa regional tax leader, despite the country's political challenges and struggling electricity utilities. South Africa's capacity to respond to economic shocks remains top in the region. South Africa also shows that having a broad-based economy that puts people to work gives government more policies and options. Sub-Saharan Africa also near-term economic outlooks was decidedly mixed, even before coronavirus began to strangle the global economy. GDP growth was set to grow at a speed of 3.6% rate in 2020, according to the International Monetary Fund's forecast, and a decimal point higher than the global predictions. But then that was a cut to around 1.6% contraction. So debt relief packages were in negotiation at the time of this article that was published, although many of the FDI, foreign direct investment hotspots in Africa, might be excluded on the grounds that they also are no longer poor. Is that what they're saying? The World Bank's classification system pegs most of them as middle class or middle income countries now. So with politics stabilizing, demographics are an even more durable structural factor driving FDI, foreign direct investments. The median age is around 18 for the continent, 14 years younger than any other country or continent. Africa is also the only place with its birth rate certain to stay above replacement rates. And this trend isn't for this week, for this year, it's locked in for a generation to come. So for the foreseeable future, Africa alone will have a growing amount of young people as consumers and workers. That makes the move beyond extractive investments that much more important natural resources investments create relatively few jobs and even few skilled jobs. And that's why investments in other sectors are needed to create good jobs and address other development goals as well. Let's just go down to So most African governments are open to private investments and investment powers, particularly in building new generation capacity. But also this means speeding hundreds of millions of dollars up front and being comfortable with local utilities and utility companies' ability and willingness to pay for the outputs. Investors in countries in Africa, due to its reputation for good governments and general peace, has enjoyed over time. So many countries has judiciary seen as independent of executive and the legislators and a free press. There is plenty of room for improvement in governance, but the basic building blocks are in place, says one of the guys from the paper, Solomon, who recently resigned as a CEO of the insurance company Activa in a country called Ghana in Africa. Um, yeah, with those basic building blocks increasingly in place, African leaders, foreign direct investment recipients um, in governments should next spread to other agencies and institutions such as finance ministers, electricity utilities, tax authorities in many leading African countries. Tax authorities were formed in the in 2000s and are now implementing digital systems to boost collection and make the processes easier for taxpayers. All of these things are incredible factors that need to put in. Investors shouldn't come to Africa because of what it is now. They're saying you want to be here for what is coming in the future. That's why I'm telling you guys, you need to understand that if future economies are in Africa, we need to, as diasporans, look back and look within and see that we have a lot more to give and offer than we ever thought we would. Hi, Salma from the box. Thank you so much for viewing. Thank you, thank you. Good evening. I will have a little bit of video clips. I think I have around, say, 4 or 5 clips here that I want to discuss a little bit about. Speaking about ancient technologies and new innovations. So let me just go back to this one here. So here's a little bit of it's very short clip here. I think it's around 11 minutes long, but I want us to look at a little bit about African secrets or secrets of our ancient past, not only in Africa but all over the world, and how much we influenced each other. So this is a little bit of video clip coming from this History channel. I don't really like that channel, but we're just gonna use it for today. And let's share this and see. I hope this time you guys can hear. I hope this time you guys can hear this, and I hope this time you guys can see this video as well. It's it's very interesting. Hope you like it.
All across South America, from the desert plains of Peru to the jungle kingdoms of the Amazon, the native South Americans have depicted nature for centuries. We discover the secrets of their culture through stunning murals, pottery, and artifacts. In 1965, deep in the dense Colombian rainforest, a team of explorers made an intriguing discovery. Almost 1,000 years ago, an ancient people known as the Cumbayan forged these beautiful brooches from gold and copper alloy. At first glance, they appear to be the models of small winged insects. But a second look reveals that there is something highly unusual about these objects. Their design carries anomalies found in no air-breathing creatures in the natural world.
Normally you find it only with
You see that, guys? It's thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. And it just popped up from nowhere. How were they even able to, have even the slightest thoughts of aerodynamics? Yeah, I mean, yeah, it speaks for
with
itself.
fishes, but no animal anywhere has vertical fins. They actually have wings, but of course not on the low edge. All these models have on the low edge the wings. All birds have, of course, the wings on the upper side, and we have it here on the arms or something like that.
As we investigate further, we discover new, unexplained puzzles in the model's design. While all insects have their wings located on the top of their body, this ancient brooch has them at the bottom, a feature found only in modern jet aeroplanes. But there's more. Just like these jets, the brooches have delta-shaped wings. There is a rudder clearly shown, and, quite astonishingly, ailerons. All of these features are found on modern aircraft like the Space Shuttle. This golden model has thus left a fascinating mystery. Could this be a model of an aircraft that actually existed? Did the ancient Kimbayans understand how to fly over 1,000 years before the first recorded flight? In the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, a stunning, some say chilling, discovery was made that has ignited controversy in the scientific world. Inside the temple, the walls are encoded with hieroglyphics over 2,000 years old. Cut with incredible precision into the ancient rock, these images record the secrets of how generations of pharaohs lived and died. While Egyptologist Dr. Ruth Hover was photographing one of the wall panels, she made a startling discovery.
There was a lot of rubble at my feet, and it looked to me like it had fallen off and incised in the stone itself of this oldest temple along the Nile were these figures. I think the images are of ancient technology. They appear to duplicate technology that we now have.
At the bottom appears to be a depiction of an aircraft with a clearly defined rudder. At the top is a shape clearly identified as a modern-day helicopter. To the right of this is a streamlined water vessel, below which is what appears to be a submarine. These simple images have ignited a fierce debate among Egyptologists and researchers, a debate that challenges all we thought we knew about the ancient Egyptians.
There is something unexplainable and mysterious in this place. Some of the theories say that people came from space to teach the ancient Egyptians. Especially, they say these shapes look like a helicopter.
Yet, could we just be projecting onto these ancient symbols images that are familiar to our own civilization?
I research the anomalous, things that other people aren't willing to look at because they can't figure them out. I'm more than happy to look at them.
But there's more. Piecing together other clues from the walls of this sacred tomb, Dr. Ruth Hover believes that she has deciphered an ancient code containing a message left 2,000 years ago. A message that the Egyptians planned to stay hidden until the day our society was ready to unravel it.
Down in the corner of that famous picture, there are a series of symbols, and the numbers are 9. They come out to 9. And 9 is also the number of the planet Mars. Did we come from Mars, or was Mars a stopping place, or was this a symbol that we were just arriving at the ability to get to Mars? We're still uncovering the mystery.
Remember also that there's also African ancient traditions. I think it's the Zulus that say that they came from Mars, actually. think so anyways. If I'm wrong, please put that on the description box or wherever people, please get engaged.
Histories of Egypt. It's very exciting.
Yet there is a further twist to the riddle of the ancient Egyptians and flight. 100 years ago, in the oldest known pyramid in all of Egypt, explorers uncovered a cache of artifacts in an ancient tomb. Their findings were left ignored and forgotten in the vaults of the Cairo Museum for decades. Among them, this small wooden carving.
It looks like a bird. It's got a beak marked on, it's got an eye marked on, it's got markings on the tail. It probably was painted with further detail.
At first glance, this 2,000-year-old model may seem insignificant, yet the more the Saqqara bird is studied, the deeper the mystery surrounding it becomes.
Maybe it was a toy, maybe it was a weather vane, maybe it's a model of something that actually flew. We don't know.
Found in a vast burial site near Egypt's oldest step pyramid, this simple carving is known as the Saqqara bird. It is believed to hold the key to an incredible enigma. What is surprising about the Saqqara bird is its aerodynamic precision. The shape of the wing and the fuselage seem to have similarities to modern-day aircraft engineering. Could the ancient Egyptians really have possessed the technology of flight over 2,000 years ago?
Man's always seen the birds and he's wanted to fly himself. And I think the Egyptians thought that flying was a godlike property, and maybe this was their transcending to become gods. One of the ways they would do it would be through flight.
I discovered the 8 immortal kings of Samaria lived a total of 2.
Sorry for the thing. Let me just see if
241,000.
There you go. Continue.
Simon Sanderson is an aerodynamics expert who has long been fascinated by the Saqqara bird. He plans to use the latest scientific techniques to unravel whether the ancient Egyptians developed a model for a full-size flying machine. Using cutting-edge technology developed by the University of Liverpool in England, he will conduct the ultimate flying test.
We're actually going to make a model of the Saqqara bird, which is 5 times bigger than the original, because the original was very small. The Saqqara bird is definitely the first step on the way to the understanding of aerodynamics. We're running the glider at a constant speed, slowly increasing the angle of attack, and then measuring the forces which it's producing. That way we can learn about its flight characteristics.
The results are promising. Simon's findings suggest that over 2,000 years ago, the Saqqara bird may have soared high above the Egyptian desert. Yet there remains one potentially fatal flaw: stability.
When an aircraft is flying along, if it's disturbed by the wind or if you're controlling it in any way, you need the tail to keep it on the straight and level. I mean, if you pitch up and there's nothing to stop you or bring you back down, you're just going to keep going up and up and up and stall. Without a tailplane, it makes it very, very difficult for aircraft to fly.
But what if the Saqqara bird did, in fact, have a tailplane at the time of the ancient Egyptians? At the rear of the carving, a segment has broken away at precisely the point that a tailplane might have been fitted. Simon and his engineers make the crucial adjustments to the model. With the tailplane added, the revamped Saqqara bird produces a completely new set of aerodynamic data. But no one knows if the modifications will be enough to save the Saqqara bird from crashing down to Earth. Feeding this new data into the flight simulator, Simon will carry out the final test flight of the Saqqara bird. These last few minutes will determine whether his mission ends in success or in failure. As the pilot takes the controls, the model begins to climb towards the heavens. The Saqqara bird glides effortlessly high above the Egyptian plateau, riding the airstreams like an eagle. Over 2,000 years after the ancient Egyptians carved this mysterious bird, modern technology has proved beyond doubt that it could have flown.
There you go. So there's another proof there that in the ancient time they used to have technologies that we today look at and wonder how did we do that. They already did that many thousands of years back. There is even ancient scriptures saying, you know, when people conquered certain areas of the world, they tend to see, it was, I think it's maybe many thousands of years back, about maybe 3,000 or more, where they saw flying objects, you know, rolling through the sky before they came and conquered or colonized or conquered certain areas. They saw flying objects and didn't know what it was that they saw, but they saw something flying objects. So most definitely it must have been some form of, you know, unique, you know, technical, innovative people living in these areas thousands and thousands of years back. And we can't run away from that fact. That is a fact. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to show by showing this video as well, is that there's a lot of things that we think we know but have no idea of. That's why I think it's very important for us to have these, you know, minutes to just look at things for what they are and start understanding them as well as human beings. There's so much things that we tend to see, tend to want to understand, but we don't understand. And it took scientists thousands and thousands of years to understand just this piece of art and technology. So just this piece of art and technology, they today found out that, yeah, it possibly, if you made those slight adjustments to it, yep, this thing could have flied perfectly in the sky. So that's for aerodynamics and ancient technologies. And what I want to do now is to also show another clip here. I think this is around 15 minutes, but I will make sure that we go through all of them. So I go to these small clips first, and there's talking about Africa's next generation of inventors. There's some children from Africa, some from many parts of Africa, but this time is from West Africa. So let's put this video on, and you guys can check this one out as well. And yeah, follow through. Yeah.
Shocking device. Maybe in occupancy, the smart. We made the smart toilet occupancy indicator. Mostly in toilets in Nigeria, we don't actually have color code, something like that. This ultrasonic sensor right here, it detects distance, the distance between the toilet and the person sitting on the toilet seat. This green LED comes on to show that it's vacant. But when someone's sitting on the toilet seat, the red LED goes on. And I'm thinking of adding a shocking device. Maybe when the person goes and wants to open the door, the buzzer could go on and maybe it could shock the person a little so the person doesn't go in again.
This is a robotic porter, and how it works is that you put your luggage on it, and then as long as you have your phone with you, it tracks your phone and follows you.
It tries to match your speed and moves as fast as you move, so you don't have to wait for it. It just keeps following you.
It's useful because in airports, you don't have to pay someone to carry your bag or get the stress of your backache. And if your luggage was lost, you can use your phone to pinpoint the exact location of it.
It's a voice-controlled juice dispenser.
Fanta.
It works with a voice recognition chip, which is embedded in this enclosure.
Coke.
And it's only assigned to specific voices which you want it to be assigned to, like only the parents in the house. It can also be modified to be used in chemistry labs in schools, which have acids and corrosive substances.
It's mostly a floor cleaner. But we also thought of how to make cleaning easier and more fun.
As you can see, this
Also from a syringe.
for the syringe,
We have to use this because it's cheaper.
we use a sponge, we use a hot glue to melt it together.
Then we use a fan. So as it's cleaning, it's going to dry that area up. We just wanted to make something that would be very innovative, especially for parents who have maybe have disabilities.
This can be used by pregnant women who don't want to use the mop to start scrubbing the floors.
There's no way you cannot have fun with this.
Wow. As you guys saw, I mean, very, 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 very inspiring. Seeing these young children doing what they're supposed to do, you know, driving the edge of technology forward for us. There's another guy here is a young guy from Nigeria doing a fabricate machine that converts waste into energy itself. And this here, I'll just go through it. It's around 9 minutes. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you guys like it. Yeah.
And islands, constituting great dangers to the environment. The search for solutions to these challenges may have driven 22-year-old Emeka Nelson, who once scavenged dump sites in Anambra, to invent a machine that could turn these waste into oil that could be broken down further for domestic and commercial users.
This is the portable hydroelectric generator.
He is also working on a hydropower generator, which when successfully scaled up would eliminate effect of bad fumes on our environment as well as dependency on fuel. An ugly generator fume accident, which led to the death of his friend some years back, pushed him towards this direction.
This one was actually completed while I was still in SS3. Yeah, that was about 3 years. Almost this took me almost 7 plus something years
to do this,
to get this one out right. But my happiness now is that although it's crude, but it still gives me joy because I think I'm going to surprise people in a few years' time because the real one is actually coming out.
Most of the materials used for building the machine, he claimed, is sourced from scavenging.
Someone did call me a pig because he saw me picking something, so that was like, "Wow, Nelson, when will you stop doing this kind of thing? Follow the big guys out there. As big as we are, all this is something you spend most of the time. Or will go doing all this. We are now big while the old school."
Emeka takes time out to put to test his inventions, starting with the generator.
You know, when the machine starts running, you'll be hearing the humans.
He begins by filling up the tank with about 4 liters of water.
So just like our normal generator said, where you use diesel and petrol kerosene to power them, this is now the petrol kerosene diesel of this particular machine here.
And then follows it up with the connection of the wires.
I need this to kick it off.
Okay.
It's now connected. Let me power the machine on. And see, it's simple as that. Then I put this on. Yeah, this is just the output. It's my new. This is the kind of I just did on experimental point. It's working. Okay, that's it. I can equal it.
To prove the battery is not the source of the power, it takes it off the machine.
It's not already changed. The machine is working with the lighting, so it's not magic.
Currently, this generator can produce up to 660 watts of electricity. And Emeka hopes to scale it up further to a more reasonable amount.
The real one is actually coming out.
So you're still working?
Yeah, I'm still working to put it into something that can even get up to 5 kVA, 10 kVA.
Done with the generator, Emeka takes us to his next invention, the Mbawe C12, which means a transformer in the local language, Igbo.
This is one of my works again. I did this one. This one was actually completed early last year.
He claims the Mbawe C12 is a machine that converts non-biodegradable waste like plastic, waterproof, nylon, and more into a crude-like refinable oil that could split further into petrol, kerosene, diesel, some other heavy oils, and paraffin. Our residual waste accumulated in the whole process are used to produce best form of interlocking stones. He also carries out a demonstration of the process.
Now, the first stage, what I actually need to do on this machine is feed all the waste you need into this. This is a reactor. This actually, that's what I call it, the reactor. This is where every separation takes place. Now, when you you must have fed it here, you close it. Then here, it's set on this one. And here we'll have the oven. This, yes, is oven. But this kind of oven, although we use charcoal here, but the reason was that during the time I was kind of building the machine, our major issue then was a kind of electricity. Here is another thing here. We have this gadget here. What this one actually does, because it's not only the hot vapor that accompanies it. I was able to discover that something like methane, ethane, and all those are flammable gas. So, and all those, if you leave flammable gas in such kind of that environment of very hot temperature, it might be it can be disastrous. Now, because I don't really have room to separate those gases and collect it, now I have this thing called off gas. What this actually does is just to trap those gases. When it traps it, it converts it to carbon and water. That water, yes, this one. When it converts, when the water then goes through this pipe, comes into this lake. The water that's normally pumped into this lake, here is a kind of water regulation chamber. Now the water is then back used by the machine. While the carbon is resident, from time interval, you open this one, scrape off the carbons there.
After about 13 minutes, the oil collects over the water.
As you can see, this is a pure example of the oil we are talking about. Yeah, started working, and this is the liquid actually extracted from the waste we just fed into. Although it's still in process, it still come up more. But these, as you can see now, enough quantity already emanates from the stream.
This he then gathers into a container.
You can see the level. All of them are now the same, but this is actually what we have.
And to prove its flammable property, Emeka strikes a match.
Assuming I had to subject it to further separation, maybe I had to, so I wanted to become highly flammable. But because it's still a complex mixture, it just burns gradually like this.
Emeka, who attended primary school in the neighborhood, has always been self-motivated and always eager to solve problems in spite of his poor background. So says the headmistress of the school he attended.
He is motivated from within. It's not like somebody is telling him to do all this, but the way he's seen himself very far away from where we can comprehend. So what he needs now is support. You understand? If the government can come out and support this boy, I think he has more to offer than this.
Stories of great minds like Emeka Nelson abound in our country. Unfortunately, they all go the same way, used by politicians to score cheap points, after which they are discarded. Emeka has got a bit of such experience.
At times you find yourself, you get frustrated. It's real. Because by the time you work, you put in even the little you have into it, at the end of the day, you'll be disappointed you didn't get actually what you wanted to get.
He has a dream and he's not giving up on it.
You can imagine a society whereby we no longer depend on oil even to power our homes. You can imagine a society whereby you go to the market, buy a generator set, all you need to power it is water. You can imagine tomorrow whereby even in our immediate environment, whereby even the empty water sachet will have all of them become a kind of source of revenue whereby people, you see people, instead of scavenging metals, people will now start scavenging all these plastics, all these waste, because I can really tell you that 35% of the waste we have today in Nigeria is made up of this. You can imagine when we tend to turn them into wealth.
His known friends today who also have contributed to his tertiary education are the artisans and the so-called little people who believe there might be light for him at the end of the tunnel. As for the government that should key into this dream to make it come true, the waiting game may continue a little longer, judging by the way similar exploits have been treated in the past.
Very, very good. Very, very good. Very smart individuals. Yeah. Like they say, it's wow. To be honest, one of the guests saying wow. Yeah. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of talents in Africa, and hopefully we will have a lot more that are, provided with necessary tools to emerge and to market their products to the rest of the world without people stealing their patents or stealing their innovations. There's a lot of other. This is at the tip of the iceberg, like they say. I have a lot more when it comes to these things, innovation and innovative ideas. Not only that, when it comes to our economy as well, there's a lot of things that we need to do. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and we are the ones that have to do it. There's no one else that will do it. We have to do it. So it takes a lot of determination, a lot of creative mind power to come up with certain things like this. It takes time. You have to sit down, you have to discuss certain things, you have to evaluate if certain things are good for the environment or not. If it's something that you can, work in your advantage instead of making it your disadvantage. Make the environment your advantage. That's how I can see, innovative minds coming together. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of innovative people in Africa and outside of Africa that needs our support, that needs, not only our support, but also needs our encouragement for them to keep on doing what they are doing, and also encourage them to educate or re-educate the new masses of the youth. And also making them understand that they are a part of that change as well. Yeah, there's a very good comment there from Sama again, telling us if you put your time and energy to it, with the help of God, you can achieve your dreams. 10,000%. Yes, 100%. You're correct. And I think it's very important for us to be those stakeholders or these people that actually want to invest into these individuals, so that their work can come out, and we can also be, not only benefiting but also learning from it as a learning experience. It's no crab mentality thing. We have to start working with each other. We have to reach out your hand, grab that person and pull them up, not drag them down. We have to pull them up with the help of our resources, with the help of the economies that we have in Europe. We need to start reinvesting into Africa and reinvest into these small villages where you have these people, that took their time to just sit down and think about a thing and just did it because they have all the time they can to use to innovate certain things. And I think it's a very good thing for us. I think we are in the forefront. I think we are in the future already. We just need to take care of what we have and start, you know, if we see bright minds, we need to ask them if we can collaborate and start doing things. I think all of us have the capability to do wonders on earth. It's just that we need to find that space. We need to find that space so that we can sit down and do this. Me, I like to talk, and not only talk, but I love history, you know, and I love anything that has to do with innovations. I think I am an innovator myself. I just have to tap into that energy. But yeah, these are the things that are going to be profound in the nation or the Pan-African struggle itself. You know, is that we need to build new industries. We need to start building our new industries. We need to start depend on our own means of knowledge, education, instead of, you know, trying to always stand for the FDI, as they say, foreign direct investments. We don't really need that as much anymore. We need to first invest in ourselves in a bit. We need to start investing in our, educational systems, institutions, and also invest in ourselves as human beings. We need to start doing things instead of talking so damn much. Sorry for that cuss in there. Well, yeah, that's actually everything I can say today. I think we ran a little bit over time today. But yeah, that's all I can do for 1 hour. Hopefully, next time we're going to, have another series of this, talking about, economics, traditional economy, innovation, and also slash that with some, ancient aspects that, can inspire this new generation to understand, that you did it before. Your past generations have done it before. It means you can do it yourself as well. You just have to find and tap into your ancestors and come back to these spiritual times where you sat down and meditated and understood that you are a part of this earth. So you use everything the earth has to give to produce what you were producing. We have a lot of opportunities, more opportunities than disadvantages. We need to get to understanding of who we are as Africans. And that's why I'm always telling you guys, in the description box, you have the link for the Discord server. Go in there, be a part of the Discord server. It's a family. We're all a family. There, I put up, news, educational things that has to do with education and things like that. Yeah, I think I have a guest. Are you in today, Ayo? Or are you just listening in?
Yeah, I'm here, Chris. Yeah, Eden, Chris. Yeah. Thanks for letting me on.
Perfect. Peace and blessings, brother. Just if you have seen the show today, do you have anything you want to, add on? What do you think is important for us as diasporans? I know you're from the islands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking it's the same, it's the same deal there. I was just thinking, when it comes to diasporans itself, what do you think? Like, what's at stake? Do we need to propel that investment, not only, foreign direct investment, but us directly investing into it, into our own economies and investing in people that have bright minds like this guy we showed before? What do you think?
For investment, I mean, I think there should be a single currency for a lot of African countries.
Yeah.
And and I think a lot of Yeah, I just think that a lot of the resources need to be kept in, and a lot of the foreign companies need to be thrown out. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah.
And if the
But
foreign,
okay, so if you want that to happen, how can we replace them? How can we replace these things? With what investment? With what money? What resource? Like, you understand? We have to. If you're going to do that, that's a harsh move. You do that, yeah. But then, what's happening afterwards? Do we have a backup plan for that? If we throwing out all the companies, what are we doing afterwards? That's my question.
afterwards,
Yeah.
could we, how could I say, that people in Africa can make it a situation where they say, you know what, all foreign investors, they have to pay at what we charge,
Mm.
or you don't get what you get.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Okay, so I think
yeah.
we also, so we are in the forefront because now we can make demands. We can demand certain things to these companies. So what we can do, instead of just signing drunkard contracts that people do, especially our leaders, we can instead make sure that when we have foreign direct investment coming into the countries, we also have a set of rules, like a template. If you coming in here, if you're going to invest in my country, you have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this, and that for the people that live in these communities, because you are making money out of the raw resource that comes from this area. You're going to have to help this community as well. Build schools, educate them, and then after you educated them on doing the job, they then take the jobs, because we can't have foreign direct investment and also foreign not only investors but foreign workers coming to Africa and taking people's work. We should build a stable workforce in Africa, so that they can take up the work and have a decent income, and then hire all the other GDPs in our countries. I think that's a step forward. What do you think, Israel?
Yeah. That would be a great idea.
Yeah,
Because
because we have to have that exchange. We can't have foreign direct investment coming into the country, sucking the money from our resources, and then just go away. Paying their own workers, go away. We can't have that. We have to make sure. Yeah, we have to make sure that our youth, because as I said in the beginning, Africa stands for around 40% of youth. They are under 15 years. 40% of the continent. 40%. That's close to half of the population in Africa, which means this is a huge gap, that comes up. So we need to fill that gap. We need to fill that void. Understand? And how can we do that? Yeah, we can bring foreign direct investment, but also make sure that we have, set of templates for them, so that when they come in, they're still going to educate our people, and the people themselves, then when they're educated, they can do the work for themselves and then sell those things after they've refined them. Yeah, after they've refined the raw material, because that's the thing. We don't understand how much money that is running from us by not refining our own resources. So we need to start refining the resources, like oil, diamonds, all the materials that we have, all the minerals that we have. You have to refine them and make them into products that are available to the international global market. When we have that, we then can compete with countries like China, USA, Japan, all these countries. We can now do things for ourselves. You understand?
Yeah.
That's the end game. That is what we need to be in. We don't need to sell raw resources anymore. What we need to do is to start producing start building factories and start industrializing our countries again. But doing it in a better way than the others did, yeah, polluting the air and stuff like that. We can use new renewable energies because we have sun 24 hours in Africa. We can use that, yeah, not 24 hours, but we have a lot of we have most sun time on Earth, so we can use that in our advantage. We can use wind, we can use all of these, sustainable, self-sustainable energy resources to, power up our factories, so that we have a less, a less impact into the local environment, yeah, and we gain money. The GDP grows. We start, investing in, agriculture, investing in, building earthworks, infrastructure, proper roads, not only, village roads. We need to build industrial roads, that can, yeah, that can move goods from interior into the coast, refined products already, sell it to the global market. That's when we can compete. And when we compete, that's when we're going to roll quick up to, bro, it's going to be a new paradigm, bro. And I can see it in front of me with the innovative people that we have. Challenges we have already gone through. I think nothing can stop us. It can only get better. What do you say, Israel? So 100%, yeah.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there just have to be ways of getting a lot of the Chinese out, and getting a lot that that's a lot that all of the white-owned land in South Africa has to be retrieved, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and yeah, I agree. Things need to be processed in Africa. That's what they was doing in Tanzania. I heard.
Yeah.
And
Yes. Exactly.
then I heard then the president died, and I heard the new president. I heard she's been opening up and to foreign investors and everything. I mean, but yeah, I think that. Well, I do think as well is that a lot of the borders in Africa have to be redrawn as well. Is that that Kidal in the mud in northern Mali has to be given to them.
I mean, we all people have their own opinions on certain things, but I can deal with what you just said. Redraw the lines. I think it's a good idea to start doing that again. Yeah, like you said, it's problematic. It's very problematic, and yeah, I don't see it as the biggest concerns for Africa. I think the biggest concern. I think what you're saying is also a big concern. By all means. But also we have a lot more that we need to deal with. I think economy itself is one of those things that is one of those pillars that we need to break down very quickly, so that we have a stable economy for future generations. So when they grow up, our children grow up in a society where, they have everything they need, but also have it in a way that's different from other countries like the West, and have another type of economy, just a new type of economy. I don't know what you call that economy, but yeah, I think we have to have a new model, and that model has to be based on African traditional economic system, but also integrated into this new world of capitalism. It has to balance in those two things, so that we can actually propel using technology with our ancient African traditional economical systems that lasts and is still lasting until today. It hasn't gone into crisis. Our traditional ways of doing things are still there and they still work. But this world, this new world, capitalistic society, we see it crashes, crisis, we got crisis, and we have, it's like a roller coaster. But traditional African economical systems are quite stagnant, and they are the same all the time for thousands of years. So why not use that, as a strategy for us to gain economical independence? I think that's one of those things that we need to do. Yeah, I think we're going overtime now, Israel. But yeah, I was thinking, maybe thank you so much for coming in, man. If you have anything else you want to just, shout it now before the end. If you have anything, yeah.
I think, yeah. The last thing that I'll say, I think that when a lot of talks to make Africa better happen, I'll be honest, I do think that a lot of the Arabs in North Africa have to be left out, because I think when it comes to African issues, I believe it's more to do with people that are indigenous to Africa, because it's like, how can I say? When I see that example, Mauritania is 70% Black African and 30% Arabs, and the Arabs rule there. I mean, and the way that they treat the majority is disgusting. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like the way that the way that the Black Algerians are treated in the north is terrible. You know what I'm trying to say? That's why I do think that when it comes to making Africa better, the Arabs in the north, I do think they have to be excluded.
Okay. I mean, it's a personal view, and I think at the end of the day, what we need to do as diasporans is to some form, come to a consensus and deal with the issues that we have in sub-Saharan Africa. I think we have issues in sub-Saharan Africa, even worse issues than dealing with other people. To be honest, we have a lot more worst issues going on in sub-Saharan Africa. That is, dealing with just our ways of dealing with other Africans. It's terrible as I see it as well. When it comes to news coming out of sub-Saharan Africa, many times you can get really disappointed because these people are not actually very warlike. They are more peaceful people in a way. So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of issues involving North Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. I wouldn't say sub-Sahara because sub means actually something bad, and we need to stop using certain terms as because saying North Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we do not only divide the continent, but we are following a pattern that was left for us. So they said North Africa to people that were more civilized than people living in sub-Saharan Africa. You understand? So using those terms, we need to stop using those terms. Yeah, we can say, instead of saying North Africa, we can say maybe the Sahel. We can talk about the Sahel, or the Sahara, or something like that, instead of saying North Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. Because, like I said, and I said previously, words have power, so we need to start using words correctly, especially when it comes to us Africans. We've been using words really bad, and that has also perpetrated certain things towards us as Africans. That's why we need to stop using those things. Stop using those terms. I don't like saying black, but that's just me. But yeah, and all many other terms that are actually degrading terms, terms that are used for a purpose. That's why I feel words, we need to also be very careful about words and don't say things that might, affect us in the future. So if that is everything you had to say there, brother, is that the last piece?
Yeah, that was my last piece. Yeah.
Perfect, Israel. I like that you came today. I would love for you to come in another time. The next session is Friday next week. So every week we have it this every Friday, 9 p.m. You're more than welcome, and everyone else also more than welcome to come and join this free stream every Friday. I don't make anything from this at all. But I'm doing this out of pure will, and also in a way that I want to educate and re-educate our African diaspora, so that we can in the future come to consensus on certain things and start working together, cross border, or whatever you will say it. I think we have to come to these situations where we speak together. You from the islands, you from the West Indies, I'm from Africa, originally not born, but I'm a diaspora. So we have a lot in common historically. And I always say, the past, what happened in slavery and stuff like that, it's a past that we need to deal with. Because it's many people have scars still until today, are scarred about the reality that their past generations were slaves, and stuff like that, and many of them, don't actually have found their identities, and live in identity crisis, and I think it's a very problematic situation there as well, because I know diasporans or people who lives in the West, I know the majority of them will not go and repatriate to Africa, or to do any type of exodus back to Africa. I think the majority in the West still like being in the West, and they are comfortable with what they have. So we that will change the future will be the ones that are jumping out of that comfort zone. We are the ones that are going to be in the forefront in the future. We're going to actually be the ones that carry this future forward. So I want to say thank you so much for coming in, Israel, and thank you everyone that came in today for Open Basket session 15. And what I want to say even more is go into the Discord server, join our Discord server. It's down below on the description box. Please also playing in, subscribe, like if you can also to this video. Please join the movement, be a part of this great African movement that we are creating. There's a lot of things that I have on Discord for every African that wants to come in, learn, re-educate themselves about history, economics, political science, all of these things. We have it there for you guys to be there to understand who you are, so that you can take formable decisions in the future. And I would say thank you so much for coming in, Israel, and everyone else.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Power to the people, everyone. And open basket, close basket. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
See you on Discord.